Okay. Hi guys, welcome back to our podcast, Football Talks. So today will be our fourth episode. So I'm glad to receive here a friend of mine, Guilherme Moreira, Brazilian football player that is playing in Thailand right now and has a lot to talk to us, about his journey until arrive here. So I'm here with Coach Sam.
Hi guys, just want to say thank you to everyone that's been tuning in lately and everyone that's following us. I hope you've got you enjoyed today's episode, and I think we've got an exciting one, a very good story for you.
Yes. So let's go straight to it. So Guilherme Moreira, welcome, and you can introduce yourself. You can, the microphone is yours, so you can just tell us your journey from a youth player until now, like 37 years old, playing football, professional football. So introduce yourself to the audience and welcome to the Football Tech Talks.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me first. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And yes, Yuri is my friend from a long time, and I'm happy to be here with you. And nice to meet you, son. Our first time here.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, so I started my journey. I was like 12 years old when I left my hometown, that very small city in Brazil. That was my first challenge, because to leave my city, like 2,000 people from my city, and moving to Rio de Janeiro, that's the biggest city in Brazil, at 12 years old, alone, was not easy at all. And moving to the biggest team in Brazil, that's Flamengo, have too much fans and too much pressure every day, even when you are young like this. And that's that. I stayed there 7 years. And during these 7 years, I had a chance to play also for my country, national team, Brazil, under 17. Yeah. After that, I moved to another team in Brazil, Curitiba. That's also a good team. Used to play Serie A all the time. And after that, I started to play abroad. I play in Hungary, I play in France, Vietnam, Saudi, Morocco, Thailand. So it was a very good experience. All the countries I went, I think I have a lot to tell.
Yes, absolutely. So, talking about going from a small city, as you said, going to one of the biggest city in Brazil, plus one of the biggest clubs in Brazil. So, how difficult was this to be competing for your place in the team? So we can talk more about
Yes,
this.
super hard, because in Brazil, as everybody knows, it's country of football, and Flamengo is the biggest team there. So there is kids who wants to be there every day. So most every day you have players trying to take your place. So you are there all every day. You are on trial there, because someone is coming and want to take your place. And for me, it was super hard, especially on that time where you don't have the internet like now. So it was hard for me to talk with my family, with my parents, and, and not much information as we have now. And was very difficult, but also at the same time, I feel it now. When I was there, I didn't feel it, because I was just a kid, and it was a dream for me to be there. And I enjoy every day that I was there, actually.
Anything, Coach Sam?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask about the story of how you were spotted by Flamengo. Like, in England, usually like someone would go watch the Sunday league matches, and then maybe a scout from like Manchester United or Manchester City might say to the parents, "Hey, I want to invite your child to training."
Mm-hmm.
Was it like that for you, or can you tell us the story?
In Brazil, clubs like Flamengo, big teams like this, they used to make many trials in different states of Brazil. I'm from Espírito Santo, so there they make a trial there first. Only players on trial, not with the team, right? So from there was,
Yeah.
I think, 500 players, each category, all category actually. My category had, I don't know how many, but total was 500. And from this 500, we make, I think, 4 or 5 days of trial. And I remember they select around 30 to travel to Rio and then make tests with the team. Of course, me with my age, and some guys 15 years, 18 years with them age. In the end, in the total, only me and one more from Espírito Santo stay in the team, Flamengo. From 500, only 2 stay in the team. And I think since now the clubs in Brazil, they're still doing that. They make trials everywhere, every state in Brazil first, and then after they select few players to try with the players there or have contract there.
Wow, that's interesting actually. So what was it like actually when what was that feeling like when you found out that the team wanted to sign you?
Yeah, because I was only 12 years old, and when you are there, you're dreaming. First time I used it dressing for training dress, it was already a dream for me. I checked Flamengo, biggest one, and first I arrived. I was too young, and I couldn't stay in the because they have
The
house
camp.
for players. The camp. So I couldn't stay there as 12 years old. I had to wait until 13. So I had more 3 months, and they told me you have a choice. You can go back to your home, and next year you come back here, and you can go to the camp. Or if you have some place to stay here, you can come and train. I said no, I not go home because I told if I go home and I don't want to take my place. And I remember
Right.
that time I lived in 3 months with a family that I didn't know anyone, and they lived in a rich favela in Brazil. And that time, just me and my father knew that. My father even couldn't tell my mom because if he tell my mom, she would not let me stay there. So I stayed with that family 3 months, and it was crazy thing to if I think it now that we did that time, but it was about my dream. I said, please, father, I won't stay here. I'm scared to lose my place, and I stay
Yeah,
like this.
that's
Right.
interesting.
And from the moment that you got selected to be in the team, so you said you spent the 7 years of your life in Flamengo. So how was it to like having this feeling of every day being fighting for your position in the squad? Not even in the team, to be in that list of 25 players, that is
Yeah,
already very hard. So how was
yeah,
it
because
like?
in Flamengo you start like this. They all say this. You start like this, and you're going, and maybe one or two become professional from I don't know how many.
Yes. Yeah.
So there is like a funnel that every year they cut many players. The end of the year they cut many. But for me it was different because I started very well there. My first year was amazing. When they was 13, I was a top scorer. We were champion, and I was the best player this time. I scored the goal of title against Vasco. It's a big another big team there. So I didn't feel that pressure in the beginning. I really started my 2 3 years. My first 2 3 years was really good in Flamengo. I didn't feel that much. I started to feel it a bit more old when I become close to the first team, like professional team. So I can tell that feeling because I didn't feel that pressure in the beginning.
Yeah. Did you always, before going to the club, did you have that feeling inside of you like I want to be a professional footballer? Have you had that from younger than 12 years old?
To be honest, I never thought to be another thing in my life, just to be football player since I think 6 years old. I start 6 years on my city, and since that time, I on my mind was always I'm gonna be a professional football player. I don't know why, but I always have that in my mind, and for me it doesn't have another option. Actually.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's interesting. Like, cause here I hear a lot of like questions about this, like why Brazilian players, they can succeed. Like a lot of them can succeed. Why is this? Is in the blood? Is in the So I get these questions, and then I used to mention about this that nowadays the kids have a lot of options, not only like to play sports, like to be, let's say, be at home. Nowadays they can choose to be on the phone, to be on the video game, to be on the tablet. So back then, I think when didn't have all of this, I think we could, let's say, you chose to be football player, and then you knew since you were 6 7 years old. So as you said, you had no other choice. So how do you think this can impact in the in the building up of this feeling of being professional player?
Yeah, and when you start to be 18, 19, that you see the things are more hard to make that change from young player to first team player, then you start to think a lot. Like now I don't have any options. I'm 19 or
Yes.
18 years old, and I didn't focus on other things. I just focused to be a professional player. And when you arrive close to be, then you see how hard is it, because it's a bigger difference to be from academic to be first team. Because as I say, when I was young, I really didn't think. For me, was I'm gonna be football player, and that's it. It was my city, small city. And since I started to play football, everyone there talk about me, like how good I was at that age, blah blah. So as a kid, you take it and you believe it. In my mind, I always say, okay, even now that I'm about to stop, it's hard because since I know myself, I know me as a football player, and everyone knows me as a football player. If they say my name, oh, I'm the football player. Even now that I'm about to stop, it's hard to make that next step, to not be a football player anymore. It was all my life like this.
Right.
That's really interesting. You just said something that was interesting to me. Like you said, in this period of time in your life, you feel like you're coming to the end, right? How do you feel physically now? Do you feel like you've got years left in you? Like
Yeah, I I take care of myself a lot,
that's good. Yeah.
and it's not too much about the body. It's more about mentally.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think I can still play more, maybe 1 or 2 years, but it's about my my mind. If I still want, if I still feel motivated. Because
Mm-hmm.
right now, sometimes I depends of the game. I feel very motivated to play, but some games I'm not. It's not same. It's not every game or every training I'm motivated. So it's about this. When I'm not happy anymore to go training, then I feel okay. I have to stop.
Yeah.
About body, it's okay. Keep going.
Yeah. How many years have you been a professional footballer now?
Well, my first professional contract was in Flamengo. I was 18 years old
Yeah.
because I think now is not the same rules, but before you could not sign a professional contract before 18 years old. So
Yes.
your first contract you have to wait until 18. Now change already because I see playing
Now I think
players
16
16.
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Yeah,
is
maybe
the
16
earliest
now.
one. Yeah, yeah.
So my time was 18. I signed my first at 18 years old. So I'm about, if I play one more season, it's gonna be 20 years
Wow,
professional player.
that's good. That's really good. Well, what's the secret to having a long career?
Well, I think uh, I think I was very professional since I started, and
Yeah.
with the time I become more professional. Maybe when I just come to first team, I thought like, okay, I'm good. I can play football. I don't need my physique. But then when I start to play in Europe, this changed my mind. I say, okay, if I not take care of my body, I cannot play football. So I'm taking care, and I think that helps me to keep playing until now.
Right. The last one about your youth time
Uh-huh.
was the position that you used to play back then. Was it always the same, like the position that you play now? So now you are playing more as a midfielder, if I'm not mistaken, like recently. And then, what were you a midfielder, or were there some changes along the way?
Never, I changed a lot. I changed a lot because when I start in Flamengo, I was tall. So I used to play as number 9. So at 12 years old, I was tall for 12 years old. But after that, I didn't. I stayed the same size.
Yeah,
So
didn't grow.
from
Yeah,
from number 9, with the time I become number 11, play more in the side. And yeah, it was like this when I was young. And when I become professional in Europe, they put me as midfielder. And since now I'm playing as midfielder. Yeah,
Right.
changed a lot.
That's interesting because I've seen many kids when they come to join the academy, the kids and the parents, they come and then put the stamp like, okay, this, like my son is defender, my son is a striker, my son is midfielder. Like, what do you think about this? Maybe Coach Sam can share some ideas. Like, what do you
Yeah.
think about this? Like, because it's a long way, right? Like,
Yeah.
things can change.
I agree. For me as a coach, when I look at children play, I don't know what you guys think, but I don't particularly always agree on just playing one position. I like the kids just play every position because you can learn so many different things. So, like, if I have a great defender, and I had one of the Ajax coaches saying this, sometimes they would start playing them in midfield, so then they're required to have play faster on the ball, if that makes sense. But then,
Yes.
if you think about all the different positions, they're required to do different things. You know, like if you play out wide, you have to be better at 1v1s and taking people on, and you got to change your speed, change your directions. So all these different things you can pick up and mold yourself into a more rounded player and develop different skills. So I think that's definitely my opinion on it.
Right. Yes.
No, I
So,
think
yep.
when you are young, you change too much your body. So you can't be sure that if you start as striker, you're gonna be a striker in the future. Your body changes a lot. We know
Correct.
one guy that's very famous that we can say is Casemiro. When he played in Brazil, he was a attacking midfielder, like number 10 or sometimes number 8, and then he became one of the best number 6, as you say, number 5, number
Yeah.
6 in the world. I have a lot of more cases like this, but the people here probably don't know. The famous one is this Casemiro, because change the body, change your speed, many things can
And
change.
change
Maybe
the understanding of game as well.
Yeah.
understand
So
of
they
game,
get
understand
more
of game, but
mature.
also too much
Yeah.
the body. Some
Yes.
kids they are
Yes.
very big
Correct.
when they are young, but then they don't develop that, and then have to change his position, or he's very fast when he's young, after not fast enough, and have to change. So I think you have to be ready,
Yes.
maybe change your position in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
So, from Brazil, like you say that you went to play in Hungary. So, how old are you when you
I
went?
was 21, 21
21.
when I moved to
So,
Hungary.
how was for you like to be at the age of 21 and then move to another country that is completely different from Brazil? Was it your first time in Europe?
Yes, again,
Was so
it was super
how
hard,
hard was it, like
super hard,
this difference of,
super hard, because the people have to understand before was another world. We didn't have internet, we didn't have the facilities we have now. So imagine, I just moved to Hungary, I go alone, I don't speak anything in English, nothing. So I just go with a paper to show people. Like if some police stop me, I have to show the paper because I cannot talk. And when I arrive, I just met a guy that I never see before, some Hungary guy. He took me from airport. He bring me I don't know where. I just follow. And it was hard to communicate and very cold in Hungary. It's not same as Brazil. So really, my first experience in super hard. My first year there. But of course, after with the time, I learned how to speak in English there, and I make a lot of friends. I was champion there. It was really nice time, but the beginning was super hard because of that. You cannot translate as now. If you need to translate, you just take your phone and translate. Me, normally I have to go out with a book to eat in some restaurant and show, look, I want to eat this.
yeah.
Another word.
And how important was the communication? Like after a while, you could
Yeah,
communicate
because
in
in the
English.
first year I arrived there was a Brazilian player who was there already 3 or 4 years. So in my first year, I didn't learn anything because I just stay close to him.
Yes.
Everything I need, I ask him. The coach tell me something, I ask him to translate. So I didn't learn anything. And then he left the team, and I was the only one Brazilian there. And then I have to learn, because if I don't learn, I cannot communicate. I don't understand what the coach say. So it was better for me to not have a Brazilian there to develop. And
Do you think, like with the difficulties that, changing countries had, do you think it benefited you in any way? Did it develop you mentally stronger, or did it give you any other traits that you're grateful for now?
no, for me, it was amazing. All that time I had abroad, for me, was really amazing. To now I can speak English, I can speak French.
Yes.
I know many countries, I know many people that I never expect to know, from a guy who just left my village there with 2,000 people. Really was amazing. I'm just grateful for everything I had.
Oh, good. Oh, good. That's good to hear.
And how was this? How did it happen? This opportunity to go to Hungary and then France. How was it from Brazil to Europe?
Yeah, Hungary, the president of the team, he fly to Brazil. He was looking for young players under 20. And by lucky, he saw me playing one game that I played very well. And lucky for me, he was in that game. He saw me, he liked me, and by an agent he contacted, and he bought me from Curitiba, the team I was playing on that time. For me, it was amazing because I didn't have a chance to play in first team in Brazil, and he bring me to his first team in Hungary, and he bought me, so I arrived there as a player already, a professional player.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's nice.
and then from there I stayed 3 years in Hungary, and then again, one team come from France to see a player from my team, not me. But on that day they come again. I was lucky to make a very good game, and they liked me that time. And then the agent who was in the other player, he contacted me and said this team was interested in me, and I just moved to France.
That's really interesting that you say that. Do you have any advice for any young players that have agents trying to speak to them now? Do you think it's important that they have an agent at a young age or at any point in their career?
This really, it's not easy, to say, because I had an opportunity when I was 15, when I was in Flamengo, to be with one of the best agents of Brazil on that time. He offered me to be my agent, and most of the players from Flamengo was from him. And I don't know, maybe I was innocent. I talked with the director of Flamengo, and he said to me, of course, no, no, don't need to sign. We take care of you. Flamengo team said that. Actually, they didn't take it at all. And many players who was with that agent, they success in Flamengo and also in other teams in Brazil. So it's really that question. I'm not sure the best. Sometimes I think needs agents. Sometimes really I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I think it's important to have, but it's not. There is not only one way. Like there is
Yeah,
no
that's
right
what I
or
mean.
wrong way.
It's not right or wrong, because in the
Yeah,
end,
yeah,
just in the end, for example, everyone says Neymar career could be better if not his father was his agent. But how can you know that? You cannot know the
yeah,
future.
yeah,
You got
yeah,
if
yeah,
you success after, say, okay, I made a good decision. But to say to someone now who don't have an agent, I don't know what to say. Have It's good for you to have one, or it's not good for you. Depends. Really hard.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's
question.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you actually, for someone that's been a professional player for 20 years and played football for, way more than that, what's the importance of I wanted to ask the mentality versus physicality to become a professional footballer? Is it more in here, or is it more how fast can I run, how quick can I change speed and turn directions? Or is it a good combination of both, you think? What do you think?
I think it's a good combination, but for me, mentality is even more important than
Yeah,
physical. Because physical, everyone, you cannot play if you don't have a physical. But
yeah,
in the end, to be top player or so-so or bad player, I think it's more about mentality. Even we see that here in Thailand. They have good players, but I think if they not work more the mentality they have here, they cannot develop. They're gonna stay on that. Like Japan,
Yeah.
if you see the Japan, they have different mentality, and that makes difference. And also, if you see Ronaldo, he's very good player, but difference from the others for me is his mentality. The guy is very strong mentality, and they make difference. So physical, everyone has to be. Has anyone can be strong or whatever physical, but
Yeah.
you have to work your mentality. There's too much pressure, also, too much pressure, and sometimes you not play, you feel down, and then how you react for it if you're not playing. You're gonna feel down, or you're gonna train harder to take your place back.
Yeah.
Too much about this.
Yeah. That's interesting because there are so many interviews. I mentioned about this in other podcasts. Uh, so many top players, ones that we always see in the TV, top players. Sometimes when they do interview, they mention about this. They mention that they never imagined being play in that level, But what made the difference was here, was their mentality.
Yeah, because
So
even during the game, because even during the game, for example, let's say the game just starts, you have a chance to score, you miss that chance. So if you're not strong enough mentality, finish for you. The game is already you wanna think about this all the game, and the big players they don't care. They lose one chance, they say, okay, next one I'm gonna put in.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. So
And
I
all
think
the way
this,
on the other way around as well, when they are doing super good, they keep going, they
yeah,
don't
they say it's
you
not
know
enough. Yeah, exactly. I scored
yeah,
three
yeah.
today.
So
Okay, next one I want to score four. So it's too much about
right.
mentality. Because I saw many good players that they don't become professional because first time I don't know one day the coach put them out. They say, oh, okay, I don't care anymore. And not come training because the coach put me in the bench today. This can
do
happen
you
many
think
times.
do you think this can be trained, like the mentality, or is something
Can
that
I think
you
can
you have it or not, or you can develop it?
now I think can develop it. Can develop it because I was reading about the Japanese how they change, and they stay like this. I think it was 92 or 91 they start to change the football there, and they start from the mentality. Like first you cannot accept to lose, and what I see here in Thailand, they accept too much when they lose. They'll say, might be lie, no problem. And I think this they start already. If you have to say everything, no, you cannot be happy to lose. You fight for win. And I think this you can work with
Yeah.
yourself to develop that.
I actually agree with you there because I feel like when Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge of Manchester United, he had all these great leaders like Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, Rio Ferdinand, all these hard players that showed the young players the way of the mentality. Like, this is Manchester United. This is how you behave, and this is how you act on the pitch. And they demanded standards from each other. So, what do you feel like? Do you feel like it's important to be like a leader in that dressing room when you go to each in club now?
100%, 100%. Like sometimes you can see a player with some coach, they cannot play. And then just change the coach and seems like a new player because maybe and probably it's the way the coach talk to him or make him understand the game or works on his mentality. For me, really, if you put important, I put 70% is mentality, and the rest 30% you can put physical, technique, tactic. It's really important. Even this Alex Ferguson, he did that with Beckham. So remember, if you watch the series about him,
Yeah,
when he feel that Beckham was not into football too much anymore, he said, okay, you can go. He didn't want him anymore. That was his best player. But mentally, he was not 100% in football anymore. So,
interesting.
Right.
So, do you prefer? I'd like to ask both of you actually. Um, do you prefer like a coach that is more about man management, like Sir Alex Ferguson, or do you prefer like a coach that's more tactical and this is how we're going to play, like Pep Guardiola? What do you think?
You can say first.
Well, that's an interesting one. I think it depends. Like I same as in the other question, I don't think there is right or wrong. Like
Mm-hmm.
there is what is giving you results, and like what is winning games, and so if Pep Guardiola starts not winning anymore, so they'll say that is totally wrong. Like, and same way as Alex Ferguson. Like, but if you ask me what I prefer, it's also hard to answer. But to watch, I prefer more the tactical coach. But I love the history as well of Sir Alex Ferguson, like the way that he managed. I even have the book of his book here, so great
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
leading. So I admire both ways. Let's say like this. What about you?
Yeah, uh, because I think uh, as professional, uh, we have an idea about touch already. It's different when you are young. So for me, I prefer someone who can be a good leader of the team. Like, of course, because to be a professional coach, you have to know about tactics. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I prefer the one who can be leader, who can, if you have problem in the team, he know how to take care, or when you are not playing, he can come to you and explain a bit. I think
Yeah.
I prefer this kind of coach. Yeah.
Do you think it changes throughout the age groups? So is it more important that you are more tactical as the player gets older, or does that make sense? Because like I know that now when I'm with the kids that I coach, I'm more of like a man manager. If that makes sense, I want to get the
Mhm.
best out of the children. So how can I do that rather than teaching them more like this is how you play in this situation? Of course, I do that as well, but it's just like I put more emphasis in being a man manager. Do you think
Yeah,
it changes?
when they are playing, for me, I like to, because I'm inside the pitch, I'm seeing a game. If my coach outside, he can see another game. For me, first I like the coach who accept first to listen to me, because I'm inside the field, so I can tell him something happened there that maybe he cannot see. But I like and I need the coach to tell me what to do, where I have to move. Like, we are doing
Yeah,
this, but if you go in this way, it's better for you. If I have a coach who never tell me that, I kind of miss it. I can feel I need it, but for me, as a player, it's very important to have a good relationship with the coach, and the coach to be humble to listen me or any other player in the pitch. Of course, he's gonna get the final decision, but at least listen the players inside the pitch. Because there also is another game.
yeah.
So talking about coaching, man management tactics. So how different was it when you came from 5 years in Europe, and then when you came to Asia, to Vietnam, to Saudi, and then to Thailand? So how different was it, like in terms of coaching, tactical sense?
Com- Completely different. It's like it's not doesn't look the same sport actually. It's same 11 against 11, a ball, but really doesn't look the same. First, when I left Brazil already, I left Brazil to go to Hungary. I see it's another sport. It's not football because in Europe they care too much about tactics, position. There was many games there that I finished the game. I feel oh, today was amazing. And the day after, the coach come to me that I did everything wrong. And some days that I feel that I was not good enough, and then he come to me and say, okay, today was perfect because I follow his tactics. So when you play in Brazil or in Asia, for me the difference, I feel more free to play because they don't into too much for tactics. I think now a bit better as before was. more fun for me to play in Asia and Brazil. But about tactic and to grow as football player, professional player for Europe is better.
Interesting. So I just wanted to ask, like, now you've been, which clubs have you played in Thailand? Sorry.
Now,
Yeah. How many?
oh,
Can you remember? There were many.
Is that-
Let's go.
I think 7, huh? If I'm not wrong,
7.
maybe.
Okay. Cool. 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 So you've played in all the professional leagues in Thailand. Can you maybe talk about like the challenges in each individual league?
Yeah, this is crazy because I play top league, I play in T2, and now I'm T3, that's low level here. And I feel much more pressure playing T3
Oh, really?
because here they want to promote, and I feel that every game you have to win. Of course, if you sign as me now, I'm a team who wants to promote. We are first now in table, so every game we have to win. When they play in Thai League in T2, like Thai League, you cannot promote. You're already in Thai League, so it was more fun to play. Don't have too much pressure, and the game also was more easy to play. You just good field, and the other team also good and let you play more. And I feel the difference of this. I feel more pressure in T3 than Thai League and T2.
Yeah. Not to
Okay.
mention like stadium facilities,
Yeah,
time of the
because of that.
match, play in the
Because
evening.
in T3, yeah, T3 you play 3:30 afternoon in Thailand, imagine. And in Thai League and T2 you just play at night. That's already it's better, and also the field in Thai League and T2 are much better than T3. So it's much more challenge to play in T3 for me.
Wow. Crazy. I wanted to ask actually, so what advice would you give yourself? So if you could go back and see yourself being 17 years old, okay, you're in the youth national team, you're in one of the top clubs in Brazil, in South America, in the world, what would you go back and tell your 17-year-old self?
So many bad decisions I made, good decisions. I think first was study when I was young because I didn't study, I didn't go to school. It will be much more easy for me. The first
Mhm.
time I left Brazil, if I, I was at school and learned English before,
Yeah,
that was my first. And the other is take care take care of my body before because I start to change my mentality about taking care of myself when I was already maybe 23, 24. When I was young, I thought just play football was enough for me. I think that took things. Because the other things, the choice I did, wrong choice or good choice, you
yeah,
can never know.
yeah, that's true, that's true. Um, I see, like, from my experience when I was playing and stuff, like, when players become 18, 19, 20, a lot of things change because now they able to have to go out and they want to chase other things like girls, and sometimes they like to party. Like, how can you, what advice would you give to them to make sure that they stay focused and in playing the game and progressing in the career, and that the other stuff, all the other stuff that looks glamorous comes after?
Yeah, because even now, because now I think it's more physical than before.
Yeah,
So now, if you really want to perform and be in top level, you have to focus 100% on football and just on your body. Because when you are young, you think your body is gonna be like this forever. You don't feel too much. Like you can go party today, and tomorrow morning you go train. You say, okay, then I can do it. But you can feel that the difference in the future to be a top player or to be just a normal player. So yes, if I can say something, is this: if you really want to be in top, you have to focus and be sure that that's what you want. To be a football player is really hard, and if you want to just enjoy, have fun, maybe try to do something else.
brilliant. That's good. That's
Nice.
good.
Can you talk about how was your experience to play in Africa as well? So Morocco is in the list here. So how as you are talking about the game being physical, so was it much more in Africa? So how was it?
Morocco is intense. It's crazy. Because first I play in Thailand, right? I play 1 year here, in Thai league, and from here I moved to Morocco. And when I just arrived there, my first training, they was in the mid of season, and me, I was 1 month already in holiday. I just arrived, the guys was on top, and me nothing. And I just see the first training, I say, impossible, I cannot play here. The guys was like a horse, running a lot, they fight a lot. Just in the warm up, I feel it already. And then when they start the game, 11-11, I couldn't run as them. It was not on my top, so I just play like two touch, and they loved me because of that. Because I was not fit, so I tried to make it simple I could, but they say that's the player we need because all the players there they was same. They run a lot, they was very fast, but they didn't have too much players to think the football or make passes. So that was fun. And I told them, actually, I don't play like this. I just did like this today because I'm not on my top, so I just play simple, but they really like it. Yeah, but the football is insane. There's too much physical, big fans also, as the people saw now in last World Cup. But I knew that before because I played there, and it's fun, but in the same time, it's really hard to play in Africa. Other thing.
Okay, that's interesting. Just wanted to touch on another topic. So you've played 20 years of football now. What have you ever thought about life after football? What comes after, and how do you want it to be?
Yeah, this is really really hard question, and because I have doubts about it. I have many close friends who wants me to stay in football, of course, because I'm doing that all my life. I know many people around the world. So many guys invited me to be agent of players, and some to be coach. But myself, I'm not 100% yet sure if I want to stay in football after this. So my first plan is to take a break for 1 year and do other things outside football and see how I feel. And then after that, I decide for real. But I'm preparing. I'm preparing myself, but I'm just not sure yet what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Do you think in Thailand, or will you go back to Brazil to have a break?
No, my first plan now is go back to my country because I left
Yeah.
my hometown. I was very young with my family since I was 12 and not stay with them. So my first plan now with my family is to go back to Brazil and start a life there. But as I say, a trial first, stay there 1 year, see how the thing going, and after we decide what to do.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay, so let's just think that you become a coach. Let's dream a little bit. How would your team play, like in the ideal world? So I like to ask these questions to the guests. So we have different opinions. So we'd like to hear from you. So how would your team play if you were coach?
Yeah, for me, first, if I was coach, my first plan was to be coach of kids, right? But just let's say that I become a professional team coach.
Okay.
For me, would be more a team who focus more in the collective, not individual. I like to make a team who can have the ball too much, control the game, and with passes and movement, and focus on that and not in the individual. I think kind of that because it's the same way I play. So you always imagine to if you become a coach to play on the same way you play football, you can see the football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So if you're then coaching children, say you're a coach of one of the biggest teams in Brazil, and you have like a group of trialists come to the club, what three main attributes are you looking for in a player? So, for example, I'm looking for speed, first touch, etc. What would you look for?
my first thing to look is technique with the ball, about control the ball and passing the ball. Because for me, that two things is very important. For me, the first thing in football, control and pass. So the first thing I would see is that. And the other thing, of course, is his body. Not exactly like tall or not tall, but you can see the body of the like I can see this body, say, okay, this body we can work on it, and it's gonna be
Like the
a
physicality, yeah, the
yeah,
physicality of the
yeah.
player.
Even if the guy is still not
Mm-hmm.
strong enough, but you see from there you can bring something. And the other thing is about what I said before, if how the kid think, if just in himself or collective, because I always focus on players who think and collective about the team, what's the best for the team.
Yeah. Do you think? I don't know if you have this much in Brazil, but in the UK we have coaches that look specifically for tall and big players. So like I went to visit a professional team um, in League One under 14s, and they were bigger than me. The boys they're massive now. I couldn't believe it. Do you think what's your opinion on that? Is that a right thing to do? Is that a wrong thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, even on my time was like this. They always looking like my team under 17. I think was not. We didn't have players less than 170. Like all those 175, 78, or 80.
Mhm.
And it's hard because even now with the kids like this in Brazil, you still have pressure to win. For example, if you are coach of Flamengo under 15, of course they want to prepare the players to go to first team, but also they want result. So this is kind of hard for the coach who had that position there. How, of course, if you have stronger or tall players at 15 years old, even if you know or you can see that he cannot become a professional, you want to put him to play to win the games for the result. Of course, I'm not agree with that. But, this is about how the team work on it. If they give confidence to the coaches, okay, we don't care about results. We just want you to make players to our first team. Yeah, depends more of the team than the coach, I think.
Yeah, I like that. I like that answer a lot, actually.
I have my opinion like about this, like because earlier we said that the mentality is very important to to develop a player to become professional. So don't you agree that the earlier you start having this mentality of winning or giving your best, like so how it's very very like interesting to think like how can we apply this in a young youth team, but also thinking about the development of the players. It's very very tricky one.
But
It's a tricky one. So how do you
actually,
see this?
actually, everything in football is strict. Everything. Like if you become a professional coach, like as I said before, my idea as a coach, I want to have the ball, I want to have the control. Okay. No, because as I said, it's easy to say like this. I want to have the control. Maybe if you ask all coaches, they're gonna say the same. They want to have. In the reality, it's different. You have a players that don't have that quality, so you have to just play behind the ball and play counter attack. I we try, we think we understand about football, but
Yeah, yeah.
football is really hard. It's really to have a final decision or find out, okay, this is the right to do or this is the wrong to do.
Yeah, yeah. It's very tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's from my opinion, it's like it's so difficult to get that balance right because as much as you want your kids and your players to develop, if you're losing matches consistently, although they might be gaining something, it's emotional. Football's emotional. You get sad and you get upset, you get frustrated, and especially from parents as well. So it's like, when does it get to the point where, okay, now I have to look more at results than developing players? Does that make sense? So it's kind of
Yeah.
like a tricky
Again,
balance,
it's
isn't it?
easy
It's
to
tricky, it's
say
tricky.
and
Very tricky.
it's easy and more nice to say you have to put the players wherever. tall or not. It's nice to say like this, but in the end, everyone wants to win. So how you can tell a
Yeah.
coach to not put a player that you have one striker 190 and have another one 165? It's hard to tell this coach, okay, you put 165 because he can dribble more, he's more fast, but the one who scored me on heading is the 190. Really, it's very hard.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I emphasize this a lot during the trainings, like even giving examples. Like that's why we have prize for first place, second place, third place.
Mm.
So the podium is only three. So the fifth place, the 10th place, they are not there. There is a prize for top scorer, top assist, best goalkeeper. Like normally is the goalkeeper that concede less goals. So I think it is the way that I think that might not be the best. It's tricky, as we are saying. But I think like this, in my opinion, is like you are showing the reality of the game, you know. So that's my approach actually, and yeah, just interesting to see different opinions, like.
Yeah, because as I said before, you see the body is one of my points to choose a player. Of course, I'm gonna check on his body, but before his body is about his technique and control the ball. This is the thing I was not agree when I was young, and I see a player that just he was tall, just this, and the
Yeah, yeah.
coach tried to work too much with him, like his technique, his control, just because he was tall. This I'm not agree, but I can accept if have a player taller than me and him same level, and the coach choose him.
Similar, yeah.
Understand? This I could accept. I just was
Yep.
I couldn't accept like this. Just he choose a player just because he was tall, and they think because he's tall, I can work with him to be better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And well, then touching on like them playing in Thailand, it's not a country that I believe that is based a lot on physicality, it's a lot on touch. What do you think the level of like the technique and passing of the Thai players is like?
Yeah, I think they have a good technique here in Thailand, and
Mm-hmm.
but that's the other point. I don't think they are strong enough, the body, to play in
Mm-hmm.
other levels. For example, you not see Thai players playing Europe, and probably because of the body also, and then as we said before, the mentality. Because I also play with some of top Thai players here, and what I
Yeah.
felt play with them is like they think is enough when like they are very good to be here, like players from Thai Port or from Buriram, whatever. So they are very good for this level, and for them is enough. They don't want to work more to, I don't know, maybe play in Europe. Or we saw now some players in Japan is the maximum they did, and for them I feel they are happy with that, and they don't work to develop because they just think they are strong enough to be in the top team here in Thailand.
Yep. On the top of that, I would add the tactical sense that should improve. Like as you
Yeah,
say, technically they are good. I've seen good players with the ball. Like in the technique, like passing, controlling. But a part of the physical, the tactical sense, I think is something to be developed from the young age. I can see from the
yeah,
academy, from like professional play matches here. So many that I watch it is like second half is like 5 against 5. It's like you have 5 defenders and five strikers,
yeah.
kind of it in long balls. And I think this is a point that we should aim for. Like the tactical sense and the physical sense as well, and
But also
mentality.
we think about this
So
second half 5-5 can be also because of the weather. Because when it's too hot, when
as
60,
well,
70
right?
minutes, the players they kind of lost the concentration or tactic, and they just don't score and become a game as you say.
Yes.
True.
Yeah. your opinion on then the Thai refereeing? Because it's almost like, from my opinion, when I'm looking at it, it's almost as if it's taken all physicality out of it, of the game.
This also is different with the foreigners. They have this thing here for them. If you make a foul in a player that have big body, strong, they don't give easy foul. But if you just touch a Thai player or a player that's short, straight, but how can we say about hackers in Thailand if you have problems in Brazil or I think in
Yes,
England not much, right?
absolutely.
But
Even in England, we
even in
like it's
England,
not as often. It's not as often, but I
Yeah.
always mention about like World Cup, even with VAR, there are huge
even
discussions.
so,
Like
sometimes my friends
in top leagues.
my friends they complain about the referees in T3. I say, man, we are in T3, third division in Thailand. What to expect? We see
Yes,
some referees
exactly.
in as you say World Cup with the VAR and they make mistakes. So
Yes, yes,
I don't me I never focus too much in referees because they
yeah,
make
Yeah.
mistakes for both sides. Actually.
correct. So, all right, Coach Sam, any other question? We can wrap it up.
No, I think I've covered everything. Maybe you could. I'd love to know about some of the players that you would have played with at the Brazilian national team and at Flamengo. Can you name some of the top players you've played with or against, and what that was like?
I have. I think he's not very famous outside, right? He already played World Cup with Brazil, but his name is Renato Augusto.
He still plays, right?
I play against
Fluminense now, played in
against Marcelo. I
Corinthians.
play because
Oh
Marcelo is the
wow!
same age as me, but he was in Fluminense. I was in Flamengo. I play against him.
Uh-huh.
And when I play in France, I play with the guy from Morocco who was captain in last World Cup. A
Oh
defender.
wow!
His name is
Okay,
Roman Says. He played with me in Morocco. In Morocco, no, in France.
okay, nice. What a
Interesting.
privilege.
Yeah.
And from my side, I would like to ask you, like, out of football, what are your hobbies? Like, what you like to do? Like when you want to not think about football, if it's possible. What you like to do? Like maybe I don't know. You like coffee, you like video games, you like. So
Yeah,
what
no, video
is?
game, no. Normally watching series, go to coffee shop, but now that I have my son, my best hobby is to play with my son.
That's nice. It's
That's
nice.
good. I like that. I like that. Good one. Okay.
All right, so that's it from me as well. So I would like to thank you again. So to be here with us in our fourth episode. So it's a pleasure for me to have a friend of mine here that we could, share many stories, many, experience as a football player. So I hope we can help our audience. So most of them are like young players that are seeking to be professional players.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope with this kind of conversation we can help, reach many young players and help them out somehow. Coach Sam, anything to add?
Definitely. No, it's the first time I've ever spoken to you, and it's been a pleasure to get to know and learn about your career. A really interesting one. I wish there was like a movie about it because I'd be watching that.
Yes,
So yeah,
Guilherme,
no,
anything to wrap it up to
No,
finish?
just
yeah, no,
thank you guys to
oh
invite me
sorry,
to thank you guys to invite me to be here. Anytime if you need my help or anything, I will be always here. You know the guy I like too much. We know each other a long time. Son, I just met now, but if you are a friend of Yuri, you are my friend also. So I'm just
thank you.
happy to be here with you guys and wish good luck and let's go with that podcast.
Thanks,
Brilliant.
thanks. All right, so if you haven't subscribed yet, if you like this content, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and like this video as well, so we can reach more people, help more people. And stay tuned for the next week. We have interesting names coming. don't know if I can say, but maybe what do you think, Coach Sam?
Yeah, no. Do you know what? I think we should keep it a secret. Keep it a secret. Watch next
Okay,
time.
all right. So it will be a coach. It will be a coach, a big
Yeah.
name in Thailand. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be an interesting one as well. So yeah, that's it for me. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we
Yes.
will see you next time.
Stay
All
tuned,
right.
guys. Thank you.
Peace. Cheers. Thanks. So let me stop.